Welcome to week 2, and today we're talking about exercise and why do we even bother, and what results and what consequences are there from the movements and the exercises that we're doing. First of all, it's really important that we get our daily energy expenditure up, and we do this just by going on a walk each day. Yes, 10,000 steps isn't the most scientific factor or the most scientific number for us to achieve, but it's really important that we try and achieve that. It definitely increases the amount of energy that we burn, and it increases the amount of calories that we burn, so it helps support us on all of our journeys while helping with recovery as well. So there's lots of different aspects to that. But then when it actually comes to the exercises that we're doing in the gym, I believe they come into 3 categories. So on the whiteboard, what we've got is our number 1. We're looking at our maximum calorie burn movements, okay? So this would generally be a HIIT workout, a run, a bike, or a swim. So generally your cardio-based movements. Part 2 is going to be your long-term calorie burn movements. So this is where we'd maybe do some more resistance-based training. We wouldn't necessarily burn as many calories as we would if we went on a run for an hour, as we would if we trained resistance-based exercises for an hour, but we'd actually end up burning more calories in the long run as our body recovers from the damage that we did in this session. And finally, we've got the metabolic adaptation that comes as a result of this long-term resistance-based training. So we maybe don't feel too many effects of some of this resistance-based training the next day or even the next week, but in the long run, due to this stimulus, we can increase our muscle mass, and as a result, our metabolic rate goes up, which makes everything a lot easier as we move forward, and something that's really important we look after. So going back to the start, these maximum instant calorie burn movements, generally, like I say, your cardio movements, we're going to look to burn as many calories as possible. Maybe it might be short, sharp sprints on the Airdyne bike or the Watt bike or on the ski erg or on the sled. These are generally movements that are going to get your heart and lungs pumping and working really hard. We're going to burn lots of calories in a very short amount of time. Then we move on to part 2, the long-term calorie burn. Here we're looking at doing sort of your 3 sets of 12, getting you on the dumbbells, getting you on the bar. We work really hard for a short amount of time, lifting that weight. You'll feel that heart rate come up, and then we'll rest and recover so that we can do it again. What that rest and recovery, number 1, enables us to do is to prevent injury. Number 2, it enables us to keep the quality high. And number 3, it enables us to lift more weight, which brings me on to part 3. As we lift this weight, we're doing more and slightly different damage to the muscle. And due to this damage, we're going to actually increase our body's chances of developing new muscle on top, okay? It does fall onto our nutrition as well, but we need the stimulus in the first place, and this is the stimulus that we want. Lifting a heavier weight, causing our body to understand that, well, if I need to be able to do this, then I need more muscle, and as a result, it's going to start to try and develop and build more muscle. So in the long run, the more muscle we have, we know that the more muscle we have, the greater our metabolic rate. So the more calories we burn on a day-to-day basis without doing anything, if we were just sitting at home. So in the long run, it then means our calorie deficit number increases. So we need to eat more food to still stay in that deficit, which makes it all a lot easier with us going into the world and having more flexibility within our food. So there are 3 types of exercise that I believe that we work on. Here, we cover all 3 of those in every session that you do. There'll be something where you're going to be really blowing and working really hard. There's be parts where you're just lifting, and there'll be parts where you're lifting and looking for that long-term response. Maybe not something that you're going to get a buyback from right there and then. But I believe that all workouts should include this, and make sure that on the home workouts and anything that you're doing, they all include this type of work. If you've got any questions, give us a shout. Hopefully the whole point of these videos, as you know, is to lead to you asking us further questions so that we can guide you even more and in more detail. But get yourself moving, get your heart and lungs working to some extent, and make sure you're working against resistance to stimulate those muscles, to try and force muscle growth, to increase our metabolic rate, to enable us to get away with more food, more fun food in our diet. Give it a go. Got any questions, give us a shout. I'll speak to you soon.